What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to go through some shots I took and attempted to take. Well, I did take them, but you'll see what I mean. In Theodore Roosevelt National Park, I used my speed graphic with some Harman direct positive paper. It was a really fun experiment that ended up getting messed up in the darkroom due to an error that I made, and we're going to go through this whole process. The videos are going to be out of order as far as the way I took the frames, but I'm going to go in the order that I developed the frames and got the results, and a little bit of a interlude, if you will, in the darkroom, and then we'll see how all this stuff goes, and then it'll come together at the end, and I'll come back up at the end and we'll talk about where it all went wrong. And hope you watch all the way to the end, and let's get to it. Okay, picture number 3 with the direct positive paper. I'm gonna have to knock this one down to 5.6 again, I think, because it's the only way I'm gonna get enough shutter speed to do anything resembling freezing motion on the horses over there. So yeah, f5.6 and whatever it comes to, probably like a 30th of a second. I'll post it up on the screen. All right, I'm about 30 feet closer to the horses. Definitely not going to get any closer. I'm going to take another one. Should be the same exposure. F5.6 and 15th of a second. Okay, so this is the first image that I developed. As you can see, I'm going to be looking off the screen just a little bit because over here to my right is where my computer screen is, and that's where I'm going to be looking at the images. But you can see this first one, it's some horses that are out on this plateau, and it looks out over much of the national park. This is the best image that I was able to get because of the development error, which, as I said, we're going to go to here in just a minute. I used my speed graphic. I used Harman direct positive paper. I rated it at ISO 2. That's, generally what they say on the box. It says between 1 and 3. So I put it at 2. And actually, as you can see here, it came out fairly well. And I did f5.6, which gave me a 15th of a second exposure. Now, I know on large format, and really on any camera, you don't want to open the lens up all the way. I opened it all the way up to 5.6. That's as wide as I can get on this lens, because I needed to be able to get the shutter speed as fast as I could. And obviously this is direct positive, so you're only getting one shot. So I needed to get the shutter speed as fast as I can to freeze the motion of the horses as best I can. And actually, if you look at their tails, you can actually see some movement in there, because hey, these are animals, these are wild animals. They're not really holding still for portraits. So I wanted to open it up and get the shutter speed as fast as I could, and that's what I got here, a 15th of a second, and developed it in Ilford multi-grade developer with a standard stop bath and a standard Ilford rapid fixer, and that's what I used. And I developed these in the darkroom at Nostalgic Glass Wet Plate Studio. It's the studio that Shane Balkowicz has out in North Dakota. I was out there for a big event that he had the day after I went in and developed this. And let's take you now to a little clip that I have from his darkroom when I was about to do the next 7 images. And after that, I'll sort of explain where I think it all went wrong. Well, I'm in a darkroom with all the red lights on. Here, this is Nostalgic Glass Wet Plate Studio. I'm not developing wet plates. I'm developing my paper negatives, which are right there. And we've got the first one sitting here in just a water bath. And now I get to do the next 7 that I have laid out. Shane's out there doing some work. Maybe I can get him to come in and do a little cameo on the video. But yeah, now I got to get to work. 7 more negatives to develop. As you can see, as I went through the dark room, I opened up all of the rest of my film holders, and I just pulled all the paper out, and I had them nicely stacked in the rack that was in there. I pointed, right at it. I had them stacked in the rack. So the first thing, and I know somebody's going to bring this up, that I probably messed the exposure up by recording a video on my phone. My iPhone has a feature that I can go in and I can make the screen a very dark red color. And I have used this feature in the past to develop paper, like prints from a negative. And I've used this red feature in the past, and it did not mess with the exposures, and it didn't bake them out. So I know that was not the issue here. I think what the issue is that while the direct positive paper is an orthographic paper, it's not as orthographic as what Shane uses. He uses collodion with a silver bath, and it is essentially not at all absorbent of red light. So he can have whatever he wants in the darkroom. With me, this paper is much more absorbent to red light, but of course I didn't realize that until we got in there. I said, oh, it's orthographic, it's ISO 2, his is ISO 1 or 2, depending on how you calculate it, but that's about what it is, 1 or 2, maybe ISO a half, whatever, we're splitting hairs. So I figured it would be fine. I pulled the first sheet out, and when I put it in there and it developed fine, I said, okay, the safe lights are fine, we're not gonna bake them out, and I just pulled everything out. The first image that we'll see right here, this image, and you can see this would have been a great image. It's got this nice S bend in the river and the mountains in the background and some nice grass in the foreground as best you can see it. I had this in the developer for about, I don't know, a minute, and then James Kyle, one of the other photographers, came in, and we just sort of looked at it, and I was basically like, I really don't think it's supposed to look like this because it's just not coming in. And he's pretty much like, no, 30 seconds in, you should be able to see something. And so I knew that was not going well. So I pulled the next sheet out, which you can see here, and put it in there. Now the first sheet had been exposed to the red light for, let's just say 2 minutes. And then the next one had been exposed to the red light for 3.5. And so by this point, we're looking at it and we know that something is, horribly wrong. And I pull them out of the developer, put them through the stop and the fix, and then I run them over to the rinse bath. And then I look at the next two and there's just nothing there. And let's go ahead and go through the videos now so you can see what I was trying to do with the other exposures. Final frame with the speed graphic. I have this nice bend in the river back here, and then the mountains in the distance, and some stuff here in the foreground. So we're on f/22, 1 second. And with that, that's the last of these that I've got. Let's head into the dark room, do some developing. Back here this morning, frame number 7 on the graphic. I'm taking that mountain, or not mountain, but little hill or whatever it is. I know my voice sounds bad. I've got these, I guess, grass allergies are killing me, but anyway, yeah, I'm gonna get that scene over there. It's gonna be number 7, and then I'll try to figure out number 8 kind of on the way out of the park. I haven't metered it yet, so I'll do that and I'll put it up on screen. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. So I've got the speed graphic out here at Theodore Roosevelt National Park, and I'm gonna give it a go. I have some Harman direct positive paper in there. I have 8 sheets that I'm going to try to shoot out here today. I'm going to rate it all at ISO 2. Hopefully I can develop it tomorrow, and we'll see how it looks. Normally it says to rate it at 2. That's what the box says, and that's what I'm going to go at. So right now I've got it all the way opened up to 5.6. It's max aperture on the lens, and then I'm at I believe a 30th of a second. I'll have to check that. Again, looks like it's gotten a little overcast, but let's take this one, and yeah, let's take it and have a look. Okay, second picture set up. This tree, that mountain, that one right there. Gonna give this one a go at, again, same ISO 2, 1 second, f32, 1 second, f32. Hopefully the tripod stays steady. Let's take a look. So I'm walking down this trail out to that little peak right there in front of us. That's where I'm gonna set up the camera and get the picture of those buffaloes. So this should be pretty neat. It's just right out there at the end of everything. So this ought to be pretty cool. After the first one, I had 7 frames left. I got the 2 that had to where you could see anything, and then the next 2, and I don't even know which 2 they are, they just came out plain white. And after that, I knew it was over. And those 2 had probably been exposed to the red lights for 6 or 7 minutes, because I probably left the 2 in the developer for maybe 4 minutes, and then a minute in the fixer, and then we rinsed it, and then sort of talked back and forth before I put the next set into the developer. And they just came out plain white. And the other 2, I learned that Harman direct positive paper is pink when you pull it out of the box. I actually thought that they were pink because they had absorbed the red lights from the darkroom, which was kind of funny not funny, tragic, if you will, but it was funny to think that I had just baked the papers out so bad that they had absorbed all that red light. And it turns out that's not what it was, but it was funny at the time. And I ended up signing one of those pink pieces of paper, and I gave it to Shane as like something about learning or whatever, like, oh, we all make mistakes, let's try to learn from it, or something like that. And so that's where I am. I got one useful positive image from this, but I've also learned that sometimes your red safe lights may not be safe, and let's make sure that we know they're safe. But I mean, like I say, I thought I did, a good enough job trying to do the one test print and that sort of thing. So for me, that's a definite lesson learned, that I'll come back to all this, and rather than, pulling all my stuff out of the holders all at once, pull them out one at a time, which is what I do when I develop large format film. So I don't know why I thought I should change the whole setup here and just pull them all out and put them in the rack. Because thinking back, like that, it doesn't seem like it makes sense, but that's what I did. And I learned. I have one good print, 2 that at least you can see that I tried to do something, and then the rest are just completely baked. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope everybody that watched this learned something from it. And I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you again on the next video. This time, definitely with more than one good image. Thanks for watching.